Good morning, everyone. JP here saying a warm good morning from a very chilly South Africa on this early morning. It's maybe evening, it's still in the afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to a tutorial on Oxygen Page Builder for WordPress. This is a beginner's tutorial. So if you're a beginner, welcome. I'm going to show you a little bit about Oxygen. We're going to build a website. And if you're just an enthusiast, you're more than welcome to go along on this journey for an hour plus. I never know how long these tutorials will be, but when we go a little bit slower, a little bit more in depth, it takes a little bit longer. We'll be making a photographer's site or a photography site for a photographer, a one-pager. So this is how the page looks. We've got a section and it's a very basic site giving you the basic stuff that you will need to create your site, with a portfolio, with a lightbox, a little bit more about you, a contact form, and then just a bottom footer section. We also have a header at the top with these section links. So I click on services, it takes me to this area with a very nice smooth scroll. Portfolio does the same, and you can imagine for these two, it will do the same. What is very important with any builder and any website is responsiveness. When we talk about responsiveness, we refer to how will this display on a tablet and on a mobile. And I start off by showing you how it will look. Let's go to iPad. Let's make it full size, go to the top, and you can see the site behaves just as well as it did on the desktop view. Lightbox. And the rest of it looks really nice. We will be building out a form using a plugin called HappyForms, and I'll also show you how you can bring in your own your own icons within Oxygen very easily. Let's display it on the phone, and I use the Samsung Galaxy. Let's go to the top again. Nice hamburger menu. If you click on it, it opens the menu, and same smooth scrolling to the section wherever you want to go. And for the rest of it, it looks really good. So we'll be building out this in Oxygen, show you how to install Oxygen, how to create your pages, how to set up these sections, how to bring in great styling, good typography, and good color palettes, and build out this photographer's website for Valerie Styles. Let's get cracking. If you want to practice along, I highly recommend you use Local by Flywheel, sometimes just referred to as Local. Look at the link in the description below. Very easy to set up a site, and then you can practice along for free. Of course, Oxygen is not for free, but you can still practice along for free if you just want to see how this works and you don't want to spend money on extra hosting. Let me go into WordPress, and here is my WordPress site. I've set up, everything is cleaned out. Let's first install Oxygen. I'll go to plugins and I'll click on add new and then upload plugin. To get the Oxygen plugin, you have to subscribe and sign up for Oxygen. And if you head over to the website, again, just follow the link in the description below. You will see that there are 3 versions that you can choose from. The basic at $99, which gives you the builder, and that's all you're going to need for this tutorial. For future tutorials where we will look at WooCommerce, you will have to go for the higher package. Currently it's discounted with $30 US. And then there's the agency, which includes Gutenberg Block Builder. And this one is going to run you $170 currently and full price $250. When it comes to Oxygen, if you're in doubt, all I can tell you is rather go and get it. When Oxygen 2 came out, they released it at $99 for early bird special. That means if you had signed up back then, these guys come now included for free. So any future upgrades, any future additions, you don't have to pay anything more. So it's really a matter of the longer you wait, the more you will lose in the future. Both the WooCommerce and the agency bundle will have their own separate tutorials here at Websites for Beginners in the future. And I will show you then why this Gutenberg Block Builder can be such a great feature if you are working with clients. For now, sign up, download the plugin. Let's go back to WordPress, choose File, grab it, currently at 3.3, and install now. Great. Click on Activate Plugin, and then we're all set. You will see here in the navigation sidebar on the left, Oxygen will appear. But before that happens, it's going to give you this splash screen. It's going to ask you, do you want a pre-made website? And Oxygen comes with a really cool set of pre-made websites that you can begin with. Or you can choose the blank installation, which will just install Oxygen and you start everything from scratch. Let's go to blank install, and nothing happens because it just leaves the installation as is. That thing that I mentioned, you will see Oxygen appears here in the sidebar on the left. If I hover over it, there's a few things that you can look at. We are going to be creating a one-page website or a single-page website. And this is one of my go-to tools because I sometimes think you don't need more than a one-pager. There are a few reasons why I would recommend one-pagers. 1, if you're a small business. 2, if you're not selling anything. 3, if you don't have a blog. And 4, if you want to make sure that people can just find you online. The reason I'm going with a one-pager, it's much easier to show you how it works. Instead of 5 or 6 pages, it will take us 6, 8, 9, 10 hours to go through all of that. To do that, we have to create a page, our home page, our one page, our landing page. Go to Pages, and if you click on All Pages, currently we have nothing. I'm going to click on Add New, and we'll just call this page our home page. The last update to WordPress 5.4 brought us this splash screen for the block editor that appears every time. No idea why, but anyway, you can go through that, click out, and then with Add Title, we're just going to call it Home. And let's say Home Photographer, so we have an idea what this site is about. We publish it, and it's going to ask you to publish again. And I'll say yes, publish it again. And now what we have to do is we have to go and edit with Oxygen. But before we do that, I'll go back to WordPress, click on the W, and I'll do 2 things first. It's normal housekeeping. The first thing is I will assign this page to my front page, my home page, so that when people come to my site, this is the page, Home Photographer, that they will encounter. To assign this, we go to Settings, Reading, and then over here, your home page displays a static page, and then for the home page, the page that people will come to when they enter your website address, select, and we only have one page that we have created, this Home Photographer. Let's save the changes. And if we view it on the front end now, it looks like this. Why does it look like this? And now you're in a mess because there's nothing of WordPress here. The only way you can go back to WordPress is to click here on this back arrow. There are a few things that have happened here. The first thing is that if you go to Appearance and you look at your themes, you will see they're all grayed out. The reason for this is that Oxygen overrides your themes. So that question I always see on the Oxygen forum, which theme should I use with Oxygen? Please go and read the manual. You don't need a theme. It doesn't matter which theme is installed, it overrides the theme. So this is one headache you don't have to think about. No theme for Oxygen. Oxygen disables the theme, so you have kind of a problem. The second problem you have, and that is when you go to Pages, click on Home Photographer, is that currently this page isn't activated to be edited with Oxygen. So when you go to that home page, it doesn't know it has to use the Oxygen interface for that. So to make sure that it looks at least better, click here on Edit with Oxygen. It's going to open the Oxygen builder now, and we will get back to it. What I want you to do is actually just go here to back to WP at the top, click on the drop-down link, and you will see you can go back to Admin or Front End. The front end is going to display the site how it will look for a visitor. We're going to leave the front end open most of the time so we can have a compare before and after how these things look. Open an instance of this in an additional tab, and what you do is hold Control on your keyboard on Windows, Command on a Mac, hold it in and click here. It's going to open a second tab and it will load it for you here. Let's go back into Oxygen and let's start working with Oxygen. To bring in anything within Oxygen, you need a section. All builders have this function. It's either a block or it's a section or it's, what do you want to call it? Builders work like that. You need this row, this section, this block to come in which you're going to bring in your content. Go here to the top where it says Add, click on Add, and then you will see if I collapse this panel that these are the panels. Oh, cannot collapse. You have to work like this, but you have basics here, helpers, WordPress, library, and reusable. There they collapse. And under these categories, you have different elements that you will bring onto your page. Basics, you can say the more popular ones, the ones that you will be using most of the time, and we'll be spending our time here within basics. Click on basics, and then you will see there's a few widgets here. If you've worked with other builders, you may be a little bit underwhelmed. What's going on here? These are only like a few. Why aren't there more? You will find that the ones that you're going to work with most of the time, they will appear here, and the others are all categorized under these. We need a section, and this is containers, and there are 3 containers within Oxygen. And the names may scare you a little bit, and a lot in Oxygen will scare you as a newcomer, as a beginner. Many people will tell you Oxygen is for developers, people who love CSS. Don't let that throw you off. I don't do those things, and I love Oxygen. You can do a lot with Oxygen without doing any coding ever. I'm going to show you, you're not going to use it on this channel ever. To start, we click on Section. And when you click on Section, it's going to bring in this area with a purple bounding box, and it will say Section here at the bottom. And as you hover over it, you will also see that those areas at the top and the bottom appear in purple. That is your padding areas that you can also increase. Whenever you see purple, you are working with a section, you are working with a container, and things have to go into that. And one of those things that we do is we bring in a background image. So before we do that, let's have a look what happens with section selected. And you know it is selected 2 ways. One, you will see the box and you will see it display like this. And as you hover over it, you will see the colors. And the second is a little breadcrumbs feature up here. And I see a lot of people miss this. I want you to get used to it because I use it all the time. If you go up here, you will see it says section number 3. Okay, yours may say section number 1. And then under it, it says section. This is a breadcrumbs feature. And as we add content inside here, you will see this breadcrumb extend. The one that's at the end, that is the one selected. Anything selected will have 2 options, primary and advanced. It's strange naming because you're going to use the advanced as much as you're going to use the primary. I think they came up with this terminology way back when, and they thought, okay, this will be advanced. I will just have called it more settings, but let's make ourselves feel important and say it's advanced because we'll go in there a lot. And why I say that is I want to bring in a background image to my section, and to do that, you have to go into advanced. So remember, we have primary. The idea is that these are the ones that you will use most of the time when you are working with this feature. And then we have advanced for additional features. I will go to advanced, click on advanced. Here you will see all the different groupings for what you can do under advanced. Background, that's where we want to go. And again, I'll say this maybe a few more times and then you just have to get used to it. Oxygen tends to scare you when you open these settings like, look at all those things. A lot of it you're never going to pay attention to, but the more you get used to the interface, the more you will get relaxed in how things work. We want background image, so take it slow and you will see background image up here. Click on browse, it takes us into our media library. If you go to media library, nothing there. So let's bring in our images. And all my images, as well as a PDF that I will be using for this tutorial included in this folder. I'm going to drag them all in at one time so I don't have to drag them in individually in the future. I'll select them all. I'll simply click and drag and they will all load. And then I just need to select the one that I will be using as an image for this background. Before we do that, these images I got at freepik.com. So if I go to freepik.com, and this is not an affiliated site, I just use them because I think in terms of volume and costing, they are the best option that I have found online. So if I go here and I search for photography, and I'll just put it here on photos, and I'll say search, it's going to give you all of these options. And the great thing is, you can see that this image that I have used is actually a free image. You just need to give attribution if you use it for non-commercial purposes. And then these with the little crown, they are premium. And again, the premium is not a bad option. You can go through this, and they have tons and tons of stuff at freepik.com. All of these images that I have used come from freepik.com. Let's close on this one. Let's go back into Oxygen and select our image that we will be using in our hero section at the top, and click on Select Image. For the best fit, I will go here to Background Size and click on Cover, just to make sure that it covers the section to the best possible fit. So we put it there on Cover. Currently, it doesn't look good yet because we don't have any content in it yet. Let's bring in our heading for this hero section. And with this selected, and you know it's selected because I told you there's a purple box, as well as the breadcrumb shows you here at the top, it says section. To bring in any new widget and element, click here on Add, and we're going to bring in a heading. There are 3 heading elements you can choose from: heading, text, and rich text. Whenever you need a paragraph, the best option is text. If you have one-liners or just headings, you go for the heading. Of course, so we click on that. Let's click on it, and you will see what it will do. It'll bring in the heading, and now the heading is selected as purple. So purple is the one that is selected, and you will see that the section has a pink bounding box now, and it says section. And if you look up here at our breadcrumbs, you will see it says section and heading. If I want to go back and edit the section, I click on section. And if I go and want to edit the heading, you simply hover over it and you see that yellow bounding box, click on it, and it will activate it for you. The moment you do that, the settings here also update to that specific element. So again, primary and advanced, but this time it is for the heading. Let's change the text first. And to change the text, you will see it says here, double click this headline to edit the text. So we double click and then select everything, and I will type in photography let's call it her name. Let's make it Valerie Styles Photography. And now we've got our text. Everything is fine there. We need to style it. We can change the color over here, and we're going to put this one on white. Before I select white, we are going to set global colors in this page. And a global color is a preset color that you can use all the time. It's a little selection that you can make every time without having to go and select that color again and again and again. And we'll be using, I'll say, maybe 4 or 5 colors. To set the global colors, go up here to Manage, click on that and select Settings. We will go to Global Styles, and up here you will see Colors. This is the category called Global Colors, and we will add the colors here. Let's click on this, and let's add white first. So click on that, and I'll call this color white. Then over here, I'll click on the color selector, and I'll put it there on white. Make sure it is white, and click on Add Color. The next one I will do is add a black. I like a black in case I need it, and I will call it black. Color selector, select black, add color. Now I will bring in my theme colors, and I've already set them up over here. So these are the codes that I have ready for the colors theme that I will be using for this one. Let's start with this one. I'll copy it, Control-C, Command-C, add color, and I'm not sure what color this is. So I'll click in the box, type a hash, and then Control-Command-V. And you will see it change. Ooh, what is this? Like a off navy blue. I'm just going to call this dirty teal. And add color. We do the same for the other two. Select, Control-C, Command-C, add color, go to the color picker, select it, type hash, Control-Command-V, and this is a brown tan or something brown. Yeah, let's call it a brown tan. Not 100%, I don't know what to call these things. And then the last color. Go to this one, Control-C, Command-C, and we add the color. select it by just clicking in there, then put in a hash, Control Command V, and then this one is, I'm going to call it gold, and then add color. Now we have these 5 colors. So if I click back here, global colors, select, and I have 5 colors. Now I've set up the colors. I can close out this sidebar and we go back here. My heading is still selected, so I can just go to text color. When I click here now, you will see global colors appear over here. That's groovy. And I'll select the white and it switches it to white. The next thing is I want to change the font. And just like we did with global colors, I'm going to change the global font. That makes it very easy. Whenever I bring in a new element, anything with text in, it will draw the font from the global settings. Again, go to global settings, manage, settings, and let's click back here, click back, and then we go to body text, headings, and fonts. Click on fonts, and you will see display font and text font. The display font is headings. Instead of saying heading font, they just said display font. This is a heading text. So what you have to understand, what you expect here is that when I change this display font here, this one should update as well. So let's do that. And the one I'm going to be using is Oswald. I click on the drop down and in search, I'm going to type in Oswald. Then I select Oswald, and before I select it, observe what happens over here. And you will see it immediately updates. Then the text font, we don't have a text element yet there. We only have the heading element, but we're going to set the text font already. Click here, and then we type in Oswald again. Select Oswald. Let's save at this moment, up here on the blue button. Close this out, and now we've also set up our global font. If you go over here, you will see font size, font weight. If you go to advanced, you will see typography over here, and that is all about your fonts. And you will see font family is set to display Oswald. Every time you're going to bring it in, it's going to use Oswald. While I am here, I want to make this all uppercase letters. So I'll go down here to text transform. And I have the option between non-capitalized uppercase and lowercase. And I'll click on uppercase and it gives me all of these in uppercase. I want to make it a thinner weight, not so thick. So I go to font weight here and I select it and I'll choose 300. That looks much better. Then I'm going to increase the size. So font size here, but you will see the font size is also under primary. So you have 2 places. Remember, the primary is just features that they consider you will use a lot. That font 300 we had changed now also displays here on the front, and that's why it draws it from the advanced settings. You can set the font size here or you can set it in the back. I'm going to set it over here. And I'll start with a number like 64. I'll type it in. I think that's a little too large. Let's go down to 48, and I think 48 is perfect. Now I want to give a little bit space and extend it, and I want to add letter spacing. It's still connected to the font, so that means we go to advanced, typography, and then we look for letter spacing over here. And I'll type in 1 first, 1 pixel, make it larger. I'll type in 5, and I think I'm going to go for 5. Next to letter spacing is the option of line height. This confuses a lot of people who are new to graphic design or working with things like InDesign, even Photoshop, and then of course in website design. Line height is the space that is added at the top and the bottom of a line with text. If you look at this purple container, you will see where the text is. There's a little bit of space there and a little bit of space here. By default, the line height is usually set to 1 point something. 1 is a factor of 1, so 1.6 or 1.2 will give you that little bit spacing. When I work with headings, I don't want any space. So I'm going to type in there 1. And once I do that, look at what happens to this container as it shrinks by removing that space. Let's go back here, type in 1. And now you will see the container is flushed straight and nicely, tightly around the text. I do that with headings. When it comes to paragraphs, I don't, but in headings, I like to do that. I like more control over my text. Now we are done with this, but what we face here are a few things, two things in fact. First, I want this text to be center to this section. I want it to be here in this center. And secondly, can we see that text? The answer to that, you and I both know, is no, we cannot really see it, so we have to do something about it. How do we get this text to be in the center? It's not about getting the text in the center. This is where you have to understand a small thing about Oxygen. You will see that this bounding box here is all around the text. So it's not about getting the text in the center. It's not going to make a difference within this container. But it's about getting this container in the center of the section container. All right. So look here, we click on the text, and then we click just here to select our section. And you will see it's purple, so we know the section is selected. Then you go here to primary, and you will see the horizontal item alignment, and we click on center. Now everything inside this container will be center aligned horizontally. That's how you're going to get things center. Now the next part is that we need to bring in a little bit of an overlay so that there is more contrast between the back and the front, and that you do with a color overlay. With the section selected, go to Advanced, and we do that on the background. And you will see here it says Image Overlay Color. If I click on that and I select maybe this one here, it will bring this color as an overlay, but because it's at 100% opacity, we don't see the background. What you need to do is grab this opacity slider here and decrease it like so, and now you can see it looks better. But I'm not going to do this because Oxygen has a feature that I'm totally in love with, and that is the gradient. What we'll do is let's remove this. So I'll go here. How can I remove this? I'll just select everything in there. Delete. Okay, image overlay is gone. And to apply the gradient overlay, you just scroll all the way to the bottom here, and you will see gradient appears here. Click on that, and now we're going to add the gradient. And what makes Oxygen's gradient so awesome is that it allows for as many colors in the gradient you want. Other builders only allow for 2. Oxygen allows you all the options you want. The first thing you have to do is add a color. Click on Add Color, go here, and we select these colors that we've been working with. I'll start with this one, and I'll first bring in the color. So bring in the second color for the gradient, this one, and then the third one, this one. Do you see where we are now? Let's keep it at linear, and I'm going to add an angle. And this you also have to play around with. I'll put it on 135 degrees. The reason I put it on 135 degrees because it's a popular angle when we create drop shadows in Photoshop. And that's why I usually just start with 135 degrees, and then I know my angle is going to run diagonally from top to bottom. So now we have this color here, this one running like this, and then this teal, dirty teal here in the bottom right. But we still don't see the background color. Again, here is a feature that is very nice, and that is that you click now on each of these colors and you can reduce their opacity individually. So if you want more opacity for this one, you can bring it here, or if you want less, you just take it further down. I'm going to take it here to around 80. Then we do the same for this one. Okay, I'll also 80, I think. And then for this one, I'll bring it just down to alrighty. So you can see things are starting to shine through there in the back. But there's one more feature here that looks a little bit complicated, but it shouldn't scare you. And that's this part over here. And I'm going to put it in percentage, and then I'll tell you what this is. I have it in percentage now. So this gradient runs from left to right. That's how you have to envision it. The first part of this gradient is this one. How much of this gradient do you want to apply to this entire section? Let's say I want a big part. Then I want to say 50%. Now, from here to here, which is 50%, will be dominated by this one. Now the next one, you have to determine from 50 to where do you want this one to apply. So let's say I want it to come here, which is up to 90%. And the last one is going to be 100%, not 10. Many people think you have to make them come together at 100%. What you need to do, it's like a slider. This one goes up to 50. This one is from 50 to 90. And this one is from 90 to 100. And then you have this effect. Let's switch them around again. So if I change this one now to 10, look what happens. You're going to have 10 here, and then this color is going to blend with this one from 10 all the way to 90. And that's how you set it up. So let's say we say this one at 25, and then this one we put at 75, and then we leave this one at 100. And now we have applied that gradient overlay. We can come back and make any changes to this if we wanted to. Next, let's bring in a subheading. In Oxygen, to bring in a new element, you simply click on the last element. So I'll click here on this heading, and then I go to Add, and the new heading that I want to bring in is a subheading. Again, we're going to use the heading element for that. Click on it, and by clicking on it, Oxygen will add this under the one that you have selected. So this one is selected, click on heading, and it adds this one. I'm going to change the tag for this one to something like H3. It will make it smaller. And again, you have control over these. If you go to Manage, Settings, and then if you go back to Headings, you will see they appear over here. And you can set the colors and all the default font weights, everything up here. We can do that in another tutorial. This one we will try and do a little bit more manual so you get to see how the settings in Oxygen works. The first thing I will do is change the color so we can see it now. And then I'm going to select it and I will type in there award-winning photographer. Let's make a few changes to it. Go back here to primary and font weight. I'm also going to put that on 300. And I will reduce the font size, let's see, 24. I'm going to take it to 20. Yep, I think 20 is good. And that's all I'm going to do here. I think these two elements are too close to each other. So let's add some space between these two. How I will do that is you can select either of these two. I will select this one that we just brought in, award-winning photography. Click on it to select it. And then hover at the top until you see it changes to that moving cursor. And you will see there's also a small little purple area that appears. If you click and hold and drag now, drag like this, you're going to see it add and adds more of that purple. Do you see that? That is margin. That is space between this one and the other element, which is the top heading. I'm just going to drag it a little bit here to give it that space. See, that's how we did that. Looks really cool. Next, I want to bring in a button. I want to bring in the button below this one. So to do that, I select this one, go to Add, and you will find the button under Basics. Here, click, and it will drop it in for you. The first thing I'll do here is to add space between this heading and the button. Same way we did it previously. Hover at the top until you see that moving slider. Click and hold and drag it until you feel it's at a good distance, and then you just let go. If you need more control over this margin setting between these two, let's click on the button again. Then you go to Advanced, and you look under Size and Spacing. Select that, and then you can add the margin here. You see, it's currently at 54. That's where we had dragged it to. If I go back here and I click and drag again, and I drop it, you will see it changes. Now it's at 177. And I can reduce it again to here, 77. And if you want it, let's say exactly at 50, you just select it over here and type in 50. And now we have it at 50. Click back here on All Styles. And under Advanced, you will see all these functions we have. But why is there this little icon next to Size and Spacing? This is an indicator that you've made changes to this particular area. So if you need to go and find out what did I do here, this will indicate to you that, hey, over here, you've made changes. So you know that when you click here, you're going to find some setting that you have changed. It's a little cue to tell you you've made changes. Let's go and change our button to edit the text. Again, double click to select it. And I will type here, download my portfolio. And the first thing I want to do here is change the text. Make sure it is selected. And we know it is selected. If you look up here, it says section and button. And even here under primary, you will see these are mostly button features. The first thing we will change is the typography, the text. You can start here. I'm going to jump directly into advanced, select typography, and the first thing I'll do is put it on uppercase to have it all in uppercase. Then I will change the font weight. Currently it's at 400. I'll drop it down to 300. I'll go to letter spacing. I'll add 2 pixels of letter spacing. Nope, that's too much. Let's add 1. Good. And I think at this moment, as I look at my typography, I'm happy with that. Now we need to make changes to the background. This blue is not part of our theme. Click on primary and you will see button color over here. Click on the blue and we select the color we want to use, which is this gold tan color. I will reduce the opacity. I'll grab the slider, reduce it a little bit, and you will see the back starts to shine through. Good, I like that. Let's go and see how this looks on the front end. So I'll click here on save. And then remember, we had the front end opened earlier on this very ghastly looking page. Just click on refresh now and you will see things look much better than it did previously. And as I hover over it, nothing happens. I think we need to add a little bit of a hover effect over there. Let's click back and then select our button. And here you see button hover color. So I'll click on this one. I'll select this color again, but this time I'm going to make sure that it is at 100%. And now as I hover over it, you will see it goes into that full opacity. Let's save it again. Go to the front, refresh. And then as I hover over it, you see, so now at least people know it's an interactive button. Let's click back. What I want here is that when people click on it, it's going to download her portfolio, which is a PDF. Remember, I had uploaded that PDF at the very beginning. So that's what I want to do here. What I will do is I'll go to this one in the front and I'll just go back, find my media library over here. And then here is the PDF, click on it. And over here with this link, I will select it, copy it, Control-C, Command-C. Let's close this. Let's go back to the builder. And then here in URL, I'll select all of it and Control-V. I'll click on Set and I will select Open Link in a new tab, just to make sure it doesn't get rid of this page. Let's save our page. Click here on back to WP and then Control-click on Front End. Command-click opens a new tab. This is the front end. And when I now click on Download my portfolio, it's going to download this portfolio, which I just threw in the image in a PDF. Nothing special, nothing la-di-da. Let's close out these guys and go back. Now we've set up this hero section of ours, but we need to bring in a few more things to make it look like a hero section. One of that is we have to add more space at the top and the bottom. To do that, click on the section and you will see it is selected. And then go to the top where you see the purple bar, click and drag, bring in more space. And I'm going to do the same at the bottom. Again, if you want more control over this, then you will go to the section, click Advanced, go to Size and Spacing, and you will add that padding here by yourself at the top and the bottom. For example, I've dragged it to 214 and 198, and you may feel that you want to have 200, so you just select 200 and 200. Then you can have peace in your world again, that everything is balanced. If you don't care about those few pixels, you just drag it the way that I did. As I look at this image though, there are a few things that bother me. I think this color is too dominant and I want this lens to feature more inside of this image. So what I'm going to do is let's go and change the gradient again. I've got my section selected. I'll click here back. I'll go to background, scroll to the bottom, click on gradient. And what I want here is for this darker color to be more dominant in this image. So currently I just give it 25% in total. So I'll do this. I'll go to this one. I'll put this one on 10. And then I'll put this one, let's put it on 65. Oh, let me try 15, 35, and 100, and a 90. So it just pushes this one a little bit more here. Okay, so I think I have less of this one at the moment, which is better. How can I move the focus point of the image that more of the lens is in focus? That again is still background. So click back here on all styles and we will go to our background. And we are going to this area called left and top. And I'll put it on percentage for both. So hang tight with me here as I explain to you what we have. We have an image, and this image is displaying all the way from left to right at 100%, and then from the top to the bottom. Now what we have here is that it fits in nicely all the way from left to right, but we want to position it from top to bottom. If I go to top, and I'll start with top, and I type in there 0%, nothing is going to happen. If I type in there 100%, this is what will happen. Now, 100% from the top, the focus point is the bottom. That's how you have to think. 100% from the top. So I've added 100% to the image, and that shifted the focus to the bottom. This means that whenever anyone loads this page on a mobile, a tablet, or a desktop, this bottom part will always be in focus. So if you want your image to be center, that you are used to in many other builders, you will have to go for the center from the top, and the center from the top is always 50%. So I'll type in there 50%. And now we have the lens nice in the middle. If you think, no, I need a little bit more of the lens, you can even say 65%. And I like it there at 65%. Because we don't need to play around with the left at this moment, I'm going to leave it empty. Don't make changes if you don't need it. We've set up our hero section. It looks good. Let's save it. Before we go to the next section, we're going to work on tablet and mobile responsiveness. And this is my second feature that I love about Oxygen, is the control when it comes to responsive design. I'll click on the section to select the section. And then up here, you'll see under section, you have this little computer screen. From the drop down, you will see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options. This one is all devices. If you click on page container, 1120 pixels. What is the page container? Go back here to the section area and you see this purple box. Even though it runs all the way from left to right, the box is only in this area. Why is the box not all the way from the left to the right? That is what we call the page container. The reason for that is that if you have a bigger resolution screen to a smaller one, this part will always appear, but this part here on the left and the right may stretch depending on your monitor. Most laptops run at 1120 or 1140. So you have your smaller laptops, and this is like a safe area. So as long as everything looks good within this purple container, it will look good on a laptop. You should not worry too much about this outside area. That's for people with 4K monitors and my huge HD screen that I have over here. But you have to make sure that the content you work with will look good within this container. And that's why when you select this one, the following is going to happen. So go to section, click page container 1120 pixels and below, and the following happens. It shrinks this area for you, and it cuts out that left and right, and now you only have the container. So you can see the container is running all the way around the border. This gives you the display of how it will look on a laptop or a screen of that size. Now, why do you want that? First of all, you can make changes here that will not reflect over here. So if you click all devices, it's going to give you the big one again. And if you click on page container, it will give you this. So if it looks not good here, you can make changes and it will not affect the one at the top. But as we look here, we think, hey, this looks good. If I saw this on a laptop, I'll be very happy with it. And then you go one level lower, and the next level is tablet level. And they've put it at 992 pixels. So when I select this, it's going to shrink a little bit more. Now you are in a tablet view. Again, the question is, does this look okay for a tablet? I think it looks fine. So you don't have to make any changes. You have one more level. We go to less than 768, which is still actually tablet. Now you see things have changed. Though this part and this part still looks good, this one has cut into two lines, and you don't see the lens in the back. In fact, let me just go up one more. The lens we still see here. On this one, we don't see the lens. Now we can make changes again here under primary and advanced. The great thing is it will only apply to this view. Let's first change the text. So with the text selected, click on it, go to font size, and I'll type in 36, and then I'll just grab the slider, drag it to here. Okay. And I think maybe the letter spacing too much. I go to advanced, typography, letter spacing, and I'll give it 1. That looks better. And now I can increase the font size. Let's put it on 36. Now it looks much better. How about this image? That's part of your section. So select your section by clicking on it, advance, background, and then we go here to top and left. Now in this case, we don't have a problem with the top. Now we have a problem with left to right because this one is on the right and you want it to move to the left. So I'll put it on percentage again because that's one I prefer. I'll start with 50% and then I'll play around. Let's put in 75%. I like that. Let's put it on 60%. I like it. Not straight in the middle, a little bit uneven, gives it that feeling. Great. Did it make any changes to my desktop view? Let's go there. All devices. No, it still looks the same. It didn't change it. Absolutely amazing. And then the last one, 480, which is still actually big because if you go to an iPhone X, it's 375. And I think if it's a Samsung Galaxy, it's 350 or 360. Not sure at this moment. But again, you're going to make some changes here. I like the background image. And this background image takes its setting from the one above, from this one. So it applies to the one below. But I think this is probably too big. But here is my question. Imagine you are on a mobile device. Don't you think you should have a little bit bigger heading, but these guys are too close to each other? In this case, I have to add line height. So I'll go to advanced, typography, and then line height, I will type in 1.2. Let's see. That looks better. And there we have it. That is how you work with responsiveness. And I always make this recommendation. Do this before you move to the next section. And the reason why you have to do that is at some point you're going to use an element or a feature from this design and you're going to copy and duplicate it and use it somewhere else on your site. If you do the mobile responsiveness now, you don't have to do it again in the future for that element. So get used to this responsive work. Don't leave it until the end and say, oh man, I forgot about mobile, or who cares about mobile? 60% plus people who access websites online care about mobile, and you're probably one of them. So make sure that mobile first is in your mind. Don't over-design your desktop because you're going to run into problems on mobile devices. A lot of the stuff that I currently see being released as add-ons for many builders and themes are great for desktops. They do not work well on mobile. So try and don't get fooled into that trap of bringing all that bling to your site, and it just doesn't work well on mobile. Enough of that. We've done our hero section. We'll come back to it because we're going to add a menu in the future here at the top. But for now, we're done with it. Let's save. I've told you there are two things that I love about Oxygen. First is the global styles. Second is the responsiveness design. But there's one thing that blows my mind, and it's still not there. Oxygen does not have an undo button. And I need to stress that. You cannot go total cowboy on things that you've already designed. If I were to click here on this section and then click up here on delete, There's no Control Z or Command Z to undo it at this moment. I'm not sure. I guess it must be some very special feature that we're going to get in the future. But this is one of those things that blow my mind why it's not there yet. It's the #1 requested feature for Oxygen. It's still not there. In fact, there aren't shortcut keys in Oxygen. Not sure what is the reason for that. I'm no developer. I don't know what could be the reason. Next section, we are going to work with custom icons. Let's build out our services section, and to bring in a new section, make sure that this section is selected. Go to Add, and then under Basics, click Section, and you're going to see your second section appears down here. With the section selected, I will bring in a heading first. So I'll go to Add, Heading, then I will select it. I will type in here, what do I do? And then to make changes to it, I'll go to Advanced Typography. The first thing I will do is put it on uppercase like this. I'll change the font weight to 300. Now let's put it on 400. And then I will increase the size. Let's go for 36 and then 48. And where do I come up with these numbers? Over time, I've developed a 12-12-12 system. So I sometimes go from 24, 36, 48, 60. Somewhere it's just a number that you get from graphic design, but I think 48 is too big, so I'll go to 36. And currently it's set to a darker color. I will switch it to this color over here. So we've selected this one now, and then I want to center align it. To do that, you don't center align the text. You click here on your section, and then over here under horizontal item alignment, we put it again in the middle. That will make sure that everything appears here in the middle. Select your heading, and we bring in again, this time a subheading. Again, it's a heading. Go to Add, Heading, Award-winning services. Go to Advanced Typography. I'll also put this on uppercase. The font weight for this one, I'll drop down to 300, but I'm going to put this at 20 pixels. No, 20 is even too big, so I'll put it down on 16. 16 looks small, but I'm going to leave it at 16. Let's see, font weight at 400. A little bit better, but I'll drop it back to 300. I don't need this so prominently. I just want it there for a styling and design element. If somebody wants to go and read it, they can do it. These two headings are too close to each other, so I select this heading, go to the top, and then click and drag to add a little bit more of space. There we go. Now I'm going to bring in my services, 3 services. This is usually done within website design by bringing in 3 columns, and each column has an icon with a title and a little description of the service. To bring in columns, make sure you select the last one here, and then you go to Add, and you will see Columns is a container. Columns is actually a preset of what Oxygen refers to as divs. And we'll work with divs, and it's something that will scare you, but don't let a div scare you. A div is a container. That's what it is. Columns gives you those settings. So I'll click here on Columns, and then you have to select before you can continue which ones you want to use. Do you want 3 columns equal width or 2 columns, and you can make changes to this after you have selected it. I'm happy with these, so I'm going to select this. After selecting it, you will see 1, 2, 3 that appears over here. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to add space between the subheading and my columns. I can either select the columns or the subheading, and in this case, I'm going to select the subheading. I'll move down to the bottom where I see the purple, click and hold and drag, and add space to here. Let's see what we've got here and click inside the first column. To understand what you have selected and what you have, go and look at the breadcrumbs. So we have a section, which is this entire area. Then we have the column, which is this pink area. And then we have a div, which makes the column. So this column, pink area that you see is actually just a wrapper. It's just a container for 3 divs. 1, 2 div, 3 div. And the wrapper is a column. If you are going to place things inside this column, which is a div, and you want them to be like grouped, you have to actually put another div inside it. So another container inside it. Maybe you don't, maybe you do, but follow along what I'm doing. Even though it says div, remember it's a column. And where it says column, you can think of it as a row. This is a row with 3 columns inside it. As you work more with Oxygen, you'll get used to the terminology and what it does. At this moment, I try to explain it to you, maybe if you come from another page builder, to give you a better understanding of what you can do here. But I'm going to add another div in here. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to style everything in here, then I'm going to duplicate that, and then I'm going to drag it over to the second column. I cannot use this div, because if I drag this div over to the second column, I lose that column. Okay, so maybe you get to understand what I'm busy with here. So with this div selected, I'll add another div inside it. Click on Add and click on Div. And this div is going to look like this. I'll build out my services info box with 3 elements. I'll bring in firstly an icon, a heading, and then I will bring in some text to describe my service. With this div selected, go to Add, look for icon. Over here under Basics, click on it, and it will appear. With the icon selected, go back and click on Add, click on Heading, and with the heading selected, go back and click on Add, and text over here. And this is how it currently looks. I want all 3 of these elements center aligned. To do that, I have to select the div in which they are. You can select here at the bottom by clicking on the pink div. Now you see the purple has selected this div and it's inside this div. So remember, 2 divs. The one that is selected is purple, and the one that is the wrapper, the container, is pink. I want to work with this one. Go to the settings on the left and then click here on center. And now you see all 3 of them nicely center aligned on top of each other. Let's make changes to them, and we start with the icon. Clicking on the icon will open the icon settings on the left, and you have 2 icon sets you can choose from: Font Awesome and Linear Icons. To search for them, you will have to remove this search field here. So thumbs up, just click backspace to delete it, and now you will see all the icons from Font Awesome. Select Linear Icons, and you will see all the outline glyphs. Let's go back to Font Awesome. And let's say in this case, I do wedding photography. So I look for something with a wedding. I can type in there wedding and I find nothing. And now you have to go on a hunting chase. For example, you can use this champagne glass here, champagne for everyone, to sort of insinuate that it's a wedding. Now, I am all about doing things my way. And my way brings in my own icons that I want to use. And I use a few ways of doing that. And I'm going to show you how to do that because Oxygen has a magnificent way of bringing in the custom icons you want to work with. What I've got here then is these 3 areas. So what I'll do is style them all out. Let's do all of this, leave the icon, set up the 3 boxes, and then we come back and do the icon at the end. I'll leave it then on this glass, and then I'll make changes to it. Over here, I'll change the color first. I'll choose this color. And then we go and change the icon size. I'm going to put it on 24, a little small. Let's try 36. That's better. I want it small. I don't want it too invasive. Yep, and that's it. Then we go to the heading. I'll select all by clicking in it, and I'll type in weddings. Then I'll go to advanced typography. I'll put it again on uppercase. Go to font weight. Let's see, 400. I think I want this one a little bit more, 500. And I'll reduce it to, let's see, 36. Nope, 36, 24. And then over here, I'll add some random text. And the random text I'm going to find with lorem ipsum. Open a new tab. And I look for loremipsum.io. Give me the text generator, 5 paragraphs. I generate some extra text. And I'll just grab over here. It's going to describe my services. Copy that. Go back and then paste it. Control V, Command V. That looks good. Let's add some space between these elements. So I'll click on any of them like this one. I'll just drag in more space there. Right. And then what about this one? I think this one is too wide, but I can add a little bit space there under weddings. But I think this runs too far from the left to the right. I want it a little bit more squashed. So what I'll do is I will select this text element. You see it is selected, purple text. Go to Advanced. And under Advanced, click on Size and Spacing. Size and spacing talks all about that box, not about the text. It talks about that purple box that is selected. And I'm going to go here and I'm going to select width. The width of this box, I'm going to put it in percentage. And if I type in there 10%, just 10, it's going to shrink it down to 10% of the container width. I'll take it up to 85%. That looks better. Let's put it on 80%. Okay. And now you see what it does. It shrinks the box. We have the space here on the left and the right. It looks a little bit more balanced to me. That's my services, and I think it looks good. Before we go and copy this for these two, you need to go and look at responsive settings. That's very important, and many people make a mistake here. So I'll go first here to page container, look at it. I think it looks fine, still looks good to me. Then I'll go to less than 992. And over here, what it does, it starts stacking the columns now. I think for this one, which is tablet, I don't want it stacked yet. Click on this one, and then you go to Div and select columns. You can also just select columns up here. Then it says stack columns vertically, less than 992. No, I want it at least from here. So I'll say less than 768. Which means that because we are currently in less than 992 pixels, it's now again adjacent to each other. It still looks okay. I like it like that. Let's go and select this one. Now I can stack it. That's okay. And we go down to this one. Also looks fine. Right. Now we've done that. We come back here. What I'll do now is I'll select this div. So you see the orange bounding box for the div. Select that. Click on it and you see it's purple. I'm going to duplicate it now. To duplicate it, go up here where it says div, section, columns, div, and over here you will see the duplicate component. Click on that one, and it gives me 2. I move this from here to here, and to do that, go here to the move, click and hold and drag, and do it slowly. Don't go too rash until you get here and you see it looks like this. And drop it. That advice I just gave you, don't be too rash when you do this. I'm a very impatient and, I respond very quickly. Sometimes I just drag around it. That's why the Control-Z, Command-Z undo feature is so important to me. But I don't have it, so I cannot do it. So this is what I have to do in this instance. So take it slow, otherwise you're going to screw it up. And we do the same because we want one for this column as well. Duplicate it again, drag it until you see it looks nicely and drop it. And now all you need to do is make changes to the text. So this one I'm going to call Portraits and I'll leave the Lorem Ipsum. And this one I'll call Newborns. In fact, let's not leave the Lorem Ipsum. Let's change that too so we have different text and different spacing. And one more. Make this one even longer. Copy. Right, so it drops into 4th line. What we have then is 3 columns with our services inside. This one is for weddings, this one is for portraits, and this one is for newborns. Let's save and go and view it on the front end to see how it will look. Update. Ooh, our site is starting to look good. As I look here, I want to add space at the top, and I can already add space at the bottom. And then we're going to go and change those icons. So let's go to the top, make sure your section is selected, and drag a little bit more space at the top, and drag a little bit more space at the bottom. More space at the top. Take a sip of coffee. Let's tackle the icons. Go to the nounproject.com and the link is in the description below. I use this for my standard icons. Lovely. And they've got, over 2 million curated icons. What I do now is I search for first weddings. And I'm going to look for weddings. And it's going to give me a selection of weddings. And then I can make my selection from here. I'll choose this one. And now what I'll do in advance, I can change the color over here. And I'm going to use that bronze color that we had. Let me just go and grab that color. Where is it? Let me grab, I think it's this one. Go back. And then you click here on the color. And there is your hex area. Control V. Yep, that's the right one. I'll download it as SVG. Very important. I'm going to download it as SVG. Then I search the next one, which will be portraits. And enter, enter. And we look for something that looks like a portrait photo. Let's choose this one. And it will remember that color that I had brought in. Download as SVG. Same. And the last one is going to be newborn. So I'm going to look for a baby. Kick the baby. I'm the baby, right? And let's choose here this one. And SVG. Now that I've downloaded these 3 icons, I have to bring them into a format that Oxygen will recognize. And that format you're going to do with the app online. You go to this one called icomoon.io. And it brings you here. All of this is for free, but you need to do this if you want to bring in your custom icons into Oxygen. On this page, go to iComoon app, click on that. And then over here, you will see icons appear. And these are ones that I've already used. So you can see my test demo already includes a wedding, a portrait, and a baby. I'll deselect them because we're not going to use them. We're going to use the new ones that I've just brought in. To bring them in, click on Import Icons. This opens your Explorer or your Finder, and then you select the SVGs over here that you've just downloaded. And then click on Open, and these 3 come in. Color is slightly different from the one that I used before. Now, to export them, you select them. These 3. Go to the bottom where it says Generate SVG and More. Click on this. It's going to give you this area. And I'll change this text first by double-clicking. I'll call it Newborns. And this one I'll call Portraits. And this one, no surprises, Weddings. Very important, before you click here on Download, go to Preferences and make sure that this Add Title to Definitions in Symbol Devs.svg is selected, because this is the format that we will be using in Oxygen. If you don't do this, it's not going to generate this file correctly and Oxygen won't recognize it. So make sure that this one is selected. Then you also can give it a project name. Just go back to Preferences and I'll call it Photography. Ooh, where are my preferences? And we say Photography. Okay. And then click on Download. And you will see it downloads here photography.zip. Open this file. You will see a lot of files appear in here. We only focus on one, and that file is this one called symbol-devs. This is the one that you're going to use for Oxygen. Currently, it's in a zip file, so you have to take it out of the zip file. So what I'll do is I'll click and hold and drag it up here to my downloads and just drop it in there. Click on Downloads, and I will see my symbol-devs dot over here. Let's close this, and now we are done with setting up the icons. It looks like a huge process, but once you understand that you have the control over your own icons, you just love doing it. And the more you do it, the more you'll get used to it. Let's close this browser. We are back in Oxygen, save our work, and we go to WordPress. To do that, go here back to WP, click on Admin, click here on the W, go to Oxygen and select Settings. Up here in the tabs, look for our SVG sets. Select that and then add new set, name of the set and choose. We're going to give this icon set a name so that we can identify it when we look for it. And I'm going to call it my photography set, just photography. And then choose file. Select symbol diffs, open, submit. And it says uploaded sets, font awesome, linear icons, and photography. And you see you also have the option to come back and delete it. Let's see if all this was worth it. We go to pages again, go to home photographer and simply click here on edit with oxygen. We don't need to go through the whole WordPress setup. Just click on edit with oxygen. Scroll down, select our icon, go here to the icon set, select, and you see photography appears here. Select that, and then under icon in the search area, delete the word glass, and there are the 3 icons. So I'll click on this one, it changes. Click on the next one, let's do the same. And the third one, put it on photography, delete that, and I'm the baby. There we go. Let's check the responsiveness one more time. Go to section, under section, page container. That looks good. Less, even less. And this is where it stacks. So here we have to just have a look. I think it looks okay. Maybe we could add more space here, but I'm thinking, nah, yeah, I like it. And the last one, which will be your typical cell phone. In future tutorials, I will show you how to work with classes, and that will allow you to make a setting to just one of these and it will update all of them. That's a nice little feature in Oxygen. Put that on your calendar for the future. All devices, save. We are back to our builder. Let's hop on to the next section. We'll build out a portfolio next, so we have to bring in a new section. To do that, select this section, go up to add section, and we have a new section. I'll change the background first. I'm just going to change the color, and you will see background color is under primary, so I don't need to go into advanced. Click on background color, and I select this dirty teal, and now we've got dirty teal. What I'll do is I'm going to use this same heading that we've got up here, apply it here, just make it white. Instead of reinventing the wheel, we just duplicate this, click on this one, duplicate, then click and hold and drag it in here, select it, and just change the color to white. We have to center it, and to do that, click on the section and select here on center. Same for this one. Select it, duplicate it, click and drag it under what do I do, select it, and put it on white. And now we just change the text. So for this one, I'm going to select it and call it portfolio. And this one, selected works. We bring in a portfolio element next. And for that, go to add, helpers, and then select gallery. Nothing will appear here because you have to bring in the images. And to do that, you go up here to browse, click on that, and then we select the images that we want to bring in here. And I've selected these 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Create a new gallery. Yes, this is my gallery. I can rearrange them here, and then I'm just going to click on Insert Gallery. The gallery is basic, but super useful and super powerful. Let's see what you can do with it. The first thing I will say is to go here to Layout. Click on Layout, and you can change the image aspect ratio. Currently it's set to 16:9, which is a very standard HD. But if you want to give it a more of an old school photography feel, you can go for 4:3, and it will change the aspect ratio. That's what I'm going to do here. I'll keep it on 4:3. You can change the images per row. I can put it on 3, and you will see that if you have uneven per row, it's going to stretch those images. So if I say images per row 5, it's going to make the last image bigger. Make sure then that this one is at a good resolution, otherwise it's going to look blurry like this. So it's not working for me. I'm going to go back to 4. You can change the gutter, and that's the space here around the images. It's at 10 pixels. I like it at 10 pixels, and I think we are good to go with what we've got here. Click back on gallery. What else do we have here? Add Lightbox. Lightbox, yes. And what Lightbox will do is when I click on an image now on the front end, it is going to open a Lightbox for me to view it better in. Click on Captions, Show Captions. If your image comes in with captions like this one, and these captions I get from FreePig, of course I don't want them to appear, but you may want them to appear. If you've changed them, you can say yes. I'm going to select no, I don't want those captions to appear. Click back on gallery and hover. Anything that you want to change as people hover over it, you can say image opacity, hover image opacity. So let's do that. As I hover over it, you can see the image opacity changes. That's a good indication. Let's do that as well. Let's go back to the front. And then over here, you see the image ID, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, and 12. If you want to rearrange the order, you can just type it in here in a different order. Let's do that so you can see how it works. I'm going to start with 12, and then 13, 15, 16. No, let's go back to 14. Let's just change that around, 16, and then 17. Now we have them in this order. And you can see the images that we have here, wedding, that's the one service, newborns, and portraits. This is the idea with this portfolio. Let's see how the portfolio looks at the front. Click on Save, and then we go here, click on Front End, open it. Right, it looks okay, and here's our portfolio. Lightbox, click on this image and it opens the Lightbox. Caption still appears here, and then you can cycle through these images. Lightbox, done well. I like it when things work well, not too flashy, because, you know, time is money. Well, time is precious, rather. Let's add more space here at the top and the bottom. Let's go back. I'll click on the section and I drag in more space. And if you know you have a specific setting, you can just go and add it every time. Let's go to size and spacing, and I'll add 150 at the top, and I'll add 100. Ooh, that's way too big. Let's say 100. 100, yep, 100 is good. And, well, 75 at the bottom is not bad. Okay. And let's add 100 at the bottom as well. Okay. It's a little bit bigger than the viewport height, but I think we're going to leave it at that. Let's save it. What do we need to do? We need to go and check for it on the responsive view. Looks good. I'm happy with it. And here is just one very important thing that I found with this one. You cannot go and make changes to how many images will display on various different devices. Once you make those changes, for example, if I click here and if I go to layout and I make changes here, those changes will translate to everything. So just be aware of it. If it doesn't look good on your mobile devices, you're kind of in for a jam like this one here. It's a little bit weird. So you have to decide. It is something I hope the guys at Oxygen, I'm not sure if it's a bug or it's a feature not included, but being able to make changes here and that will translate on responsive devices would be good. If you don't believe me, let's go here and we change images per row to 2, and you will see it looks better on a mobile device. If I go to all devices, it's 2. So this is the part that I mentioned. This is not responsive, and it's something that you will have to decide how it looks from desktop to mobile device. That's our portfolio, and that's really simple, right? We did it so quickly. What's going to take you much longer when you are working on this is actually to get your images right and primed for this section. Let's then go to the next section. We select this section. And we'll bring in a call to action. Call to action is an area where you ask people to do something, to click. Usually a call to action is a click. I'll click here on add, and I'll bring in a new section under basics section, and I'll change the color first. I'll go here to background color, and I'll change it to this gold tan. This I'm going to leave as a bar like this. All I want to do here is to bring in text on the left and a button on the right. Tell them, hey, do you want to work with me? Get in touch. To do that, and now we're going to come into another interesting area of Oxygen. We want a heading first, so let's go add heading. Let's change this and type in here, do you want to work with me? And I don't care about the capitals because I'm going to make changes to that. Go to Advanced, Typography, Uppercase, and we reduce this to 24. And I will put the font weight on 400. No, let's make it a little bit more on 500. And I'll add a little bit of letter spacing, 1 pixel. Let's make sure the color, choose this one. Yep, that is darker, so make sure you make the color right. Then I want to bring in a button. I want the button here on the right. Click on Add and select Button. Let's change the button. I'll select the text and I'll type in Get in Touch. Oops. Get in Touch. Let's make changes to the button. The first thing I'll do is change the background color to this one. And the hover color, I will make the same one, but I'll just reduce the opacity a little bit like this. I think the text size is fine and the text color is fine, but I want to add a little bit more space on the top and the left and the right and the bottom. So I'll go to Advanced, Size and Spacing and Padding. Let's say 15 at the top, 15 at the bottom, and 25 and 25. Ooh, 25. Right, so there we go. Let's add a little bit more. I'll go back to Advanced Typography, also letter spacing 1. That looks better. How do I get these two in columns? So I could have used columns, but I didn't. And the reason I didn't is because of one of the features within Oxygen. Go to Section. Now, previously, if we selected this one here, Center, it will put everything in the center. This is because over here, when we talk about child element layout. Now, who are these children that we are talking about? The section is the mother, and anything inside the section, they are the children. So these are the children. These are child elements. Go back to section. They are stacked child elements vertically. That is what's happened here. But guess what? You can also stack them horizontally. That means next to each other. Click on this one, and this is what's going to happen. Amazing. Great. Now they're next to each other. You can make changes here. Then horizontal item alignment and go to space between. And look what happens. It's going to stretch this element to the right and this one to the left. How simple is that? In most page builders, you'll have to work with columns, put them in different alignment in each column. But this is a really groovy feature within Oxygen. Now this call to action is way too big. So I'll go here actually to the top and I'll just reduce the padding at the top and the bottom a little bit. Just so that we have this bar. That's a call to action. Right. So you get what we did here. Add a little bit more space. We go to our responsiveness. This looks good on our smaller devices. I still like it. And from here, it's going to run into this issue. You have a decision. Do you want to stack it or do you want to make it smaller? If you want to make it smaller, we do it like this. Click on this one and change the letter spacing first. Go to Typography and letter spacing we put at 0. Then we change the font size and we're going to change the font size, I think, to 24, 20, and now we have it. You can decide if you want to make the button smaller as well, but the button looks good. And then finally, when we go to our smaller devices, you're going to run into a problem to get these two to play nicely next to each other. So you stack them. And the way you stack them is make sure the section is selected and you put the child element layout again to stack. Look at that. Click on this one, drag a little bit space in there, and you're done. That's it. Your call to action is done. And now if we go back to the desktop, it still looks like it did. We run down to tablet. But the moment we go to mobile, it stacks. Wow, I love that control. I can get really excited about that. Let's save our work, and we're done with that call to action. Let's work on the About Valerie Styles section. Make sure your section is selected. Go to Add, click on Section, change the background color over here under Primary, and we select our dirty teal again. Here I'll be working with 2 columns. With the section selected, go to Add, Columns, and then select 50/50. In our first column, we're going to bring in an image. It's actually the first time we'll be bringing in an image element. We worked with the gallery up here. Make sure the column is selected. Click on it until it says div. Don't think when it says columns that you are within the column. The column is just the wrapper. You still have to click the specific column. And once it says div in purple, you know you have selected actually the column. To make sure, you can also check up here, section, column, div. Go to Add and Image down here. Click on Image, and then we just change the image. Go to Image URL, Browse, and select Valerie Styles. Select, and Valerie will come in with the width applied, and it's set like this. I'm not going to make changes to this. As this image is, I'm very happy with it, even with the margins and padding applied around it. Let's go to the next column. Click on it to make sure it's selected in purple. And we are going to bring in Valerie's name. So let's do that in a heading. Click on that, make sure it's in white. Then I'm going to change it to Valerie Styles. Valerie Styles. And then make changes, advanced, typography, uppercase again. And I will increase this to 48. And then on the font weight, let's put it on 400. And that's Valerie Styles. Very happy with Valerie Styles. Under her, a little bio about Valerie Styles. So go to Add, and we bring in text. So click on the text, drops there, change the color. Let's put it on white. And then we grab some lorem ipsum text for Valerie. Over here, copy. Select everything by clicking on it and Control V. That's a little too thick. So what I'll do is go to font weight. Let's see, 400. No, that is 400. 300. And I'll make sure that the font size is on 18. This specific font, Oswald, is very condensed. So if you use the standard 16, which people usually recommend for body text, it's still a little too small. That's why I'm going for 18, even 20, if you want people actually to be able to read it. I don't want the text to run all the way to this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this container of this text element a little bit narrower. Go to Advanced, Size and Spacing, and then the width, put it on percentage, and I'll put it on 80%. And you will see now it adds this space, not really, it shrunk it, and this is now open space. I'll bring in the Download My Portfolio button here. But why make a new Download My Portfolio button if we already have one up here? Let's just copy it and take it down there. Let's go select it and then click on Duplicate Component. Now you have to drag it all the way down. And you see it doesn't really work. So let's leave it there. How can I take it down all the way to the bottom? And I make it sound like I don't actually know what I'm doing, but actually I know what I'm doing. Select the button that you want to move, click here, and then you go up here where it says Structure and select that. What you see in this Structure sidebar is the entire top-down view in a grid view, basically, of everything on this page. If I collapse this, you're going to see section 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that means we've got 5 sections on our page. If I twill this one open, the first one, I have a heading, another heading, a button, and a button. Yep, that's what I've got. And actually, as I click on this heading, it's going to select this heading. This is great if there is any element on your page that you cannot find clearly and you cannot select it, you just go here. I've got these buttons, and this is the button that I have duplicated. What I want to do is drag that button down here under this text. What I'll do first is I will open this section, and then you will see there's column container. So I'll open the columns, and there are two divs, column 1 and column 2, and I'll open the second one. And there's the heading, Valerie Styles. There's the text. Leave it open. Now we go back to this button at the top. Click and hold and drag. Drag it all the way to the bottom, under text, and drop it. Let's see. And there it is. That's how simple it is to move things around in Oxygen. So if you ever need to move things around or find things in a little easier way, or you don't know in which container they are all wrapped in, you just go there to the structure. The problem you may run into, and the thing you may forget, is to close this out, and then you actually forget how things can look bigger, so make sure you close this out. Let's add a little bit more space here. And next, what can we do as well here? Two more things. I want all of this content to be weighted here in the middle. To do that, you'll select a container over here, which is the div. Go here to vertical item alignment. Currently it's at the top. I want it in the middle, and that's how easy it is. I really, really love this feature of Oxygen. Coming from graphic design programs like Quark Express and InDesign, this kind of feature is something that you will love if you come from that background. The other thing, though, is that usually when we have content like this next to an image, we don't want it that close to the image. We want a little bit more space between these two. So what we can do is add padding here in this container on the left. As I hover here, you will see the purple bar appears. Click and drag it to the right and just add a little bit more padding. There we go. And that looks much better. We used 175 pixels respectively here. So let's do the same for this section. I'll go to Advanced, Size and Spacing. Let's put 100 at the top. We have 75 at the bottom. And now let's go check it on responsiveness. This one looks fine. Except now, this looks a little bit weird. So what I'll do is I'll click on the text, go to Advanced, Size and Spacing, and for width, put it on percentage, and I'll put it on 100%. You see what we did there? Now it looks a little bit more balanced. Maybe 100% is too much. Let's put it on 90 or 95. Let's try 90 first. No, 95. Go for 95. Great. Next one. Okay, so they are stacked here. I don't want it stacked so soon. I think I can still squeeze them in next to each other. Make sure you select the column over here. So I'll go to Section, Columns. If you cannot find it, select Columns here. Or I've also shown you can go to Structure and select Columns over here. And then Stack, I'll choose from less than 480. Let's choose less than 480. So it won't stack it. It will look like this at this moment. And now you can make changes here to make it look a little bit better. So for example, the text here is now too big. I'll bring it down to 16. Valerie Styles is also a little too much, so I'll bring it down to 36 and add a little bit space there. And then for this button, I will click on it and reduce the space. It actually took it away. Let me just make sure I got it there. And I'll also remove this padding here. Click on this and then just, okay. Now I need a little bit padding there, Bobby. There we go. Much better. And then the last one is going to stack. Oh, well, we still have this one. Nope, I think from here we have to start stacking it, right? I think so. So let's go back to our columns. I'll just click here and then select columns. And then I'll say stack from 768. There, that's what stacking will do. What you can decide here is to put all of this now in the center. So I'll select this part. Select to stack them vertically, and then I'll center them. And then if we go to 480, it should be the same. Absolutely great, that feature. Look how they respond from one display to the next. Gives you total control. I can talk about this all day. And we don't have all day. We're done. Let's save it. We have 2 more sections, and the next section is the contact her section, not contact us. It's only Valerie. Click here on the section and then add section, and we are going to work with 2 columns. So click here on add, go to columns and select 50 by 50. Here on the left, we'll bring in all the information, and on the right, we will bring in our Happy Forms. Now, Oxygen does not come with a form builder. It does not have its own form element. And I'm pretty sure, if I have to predict, that is something that these guys will be working on that will come out maybe by version 4 or a version 5. But in their mind, there are so many great already WordPress plugins for forms, they're not going to invest their time in that at this moment. They can do that later. So when you bring in a form, you have to decide which form builder you like in WordPress. And there's a number that I use. The one we'll be using here is HappyForms. Let's build out some content here on the left first. Click in here to select the column, and it will say div in purple. I will do the cheating thing again. I'll go up here to Valerie Styles, select that, duplicate it. And strangely, as I click, it doesn't want to drag here. And if that happens, go to structure, make sure it's open, and then you click and drag it under this div and drop it. And now it's in there. So select it. And we just change the color. Let's change the text to send me a message. And we do the same here. We grab this one. Let's duplicate that. Let's see if we can drag that. Yep, this one works, but it doesn't want to go down there. So we do the same. Grab the text here, drag it down under heading. And there we go. And the only thing you need to do, change the color. That looks pretty good. Select it, go to add, and I'll bring in a heading. I'll put this on something like H4, make it smaller. Select it and contact details. Go to the top of, okay, select it again. Go to the top, add some space here. And I think I'll just change the color to this one, make sure it's constant. Now I'm going to burn your brain a little bit. There is an icon box feature within Oxygen. So if you go to add, you go to helpers, you are going to find it. Where is it? Icon box. If you click on it, it's going to allow you to bring an icon with some text. Unfortunately, what I want to do, I couldn't get the icon box to do what I wanted it to do. So I'll delete it. The first thing is we bring in a div under this. Remember, div is just a container. Go to add and go to basics, click on div. With the div selected, bring in an icon. And then with the icon selected, bring in, let's say, a heading. Click on the icon. Let's reduce the size to around 16. That's too small. Let's make it 20. And then go to the heading, select your text, and say +1 236 233 telephone number. You get it. Font size 20. And then we go to font weight, put it on 400. And now select the div. So if you had selected this area, that is the heading, to select the div, you can just come up here and select div. And now you go to this one, stack horizontally, and you have them next to each other. You can see that thumbs up is a little bit to the top. So you go here to vertical item alignment in middle. And now they're nicely vertical aligned. Click again on the icon. Let's change the icon. So I'm going to delete that and type in their phone. Choose this one. And then I'll go to advanced, size and spacing, and I'll add a margin on the right of 10 pixels. Let's make it 15. And that will add space between the icon and our text. Look at that. Did you hold on to the boat? Wasn't that rocky, right? I just scared you. Click again on it to select the div. Now duplicate the div. Go to the icon. And this time we search for an envelope, which will be our address. Let's choose this one here. And then over here, select the text, and we can say 13 4th 13 Crystal Avenue, Somerset West. Okay, something like that. There's your contact details. Let's put a little bit space here. Click on contact details at the bottom and drag a little bit. And there we have it. There you have designed all your contact details. Save your work, and now we have to bring in a form. To do that, we have to go install the HappyForms plugin, back to WordPress, click to admin, and then we click here on the W to take us into WordPress. And it's going to ask you every now and again in Oxygen, you need to update, regenerate the CSS cache or also your global colors. When you see this, just go and click on it, and click here on regenerate, and it says all down. If you have no idea what that did, like me, don't let it scare you. Just follow the instructions. Okay, I'm clicking here on buttons. Let's go to plugins and add new. And we're going to find HappyForms from the WordPress repository. They have a free version, and then they have a premium version. If you want to know more about HappyForms, we've got many tutorials here on Websites for Beginners, how to set it up, and more coming, especially on the premium features, to see how that works. And in fact, if you get it right at this very moment on AppSumo, they have a deal for a lifetime deal. So you can go and check that out on appsumo.com. I'll put a link for that in the description below. Click here on Install Now. That brings in HappyForms for us. And what we want to achieve with this form, that's your question when you work with the form. Why do you want people to reach you, and what do you want them to tell you? So you want people who want to use your services. So you want to get their email, you want to get their name, and you want to know which of the services they are going to use, and probably even the date that they would require you. Click on Activate, and then HappyForms will appear here in the sidebar. And we're just going to say skip all of this. Go to all forms, because this is where we're going to create our forms. Currently, you will see a sample form down here. Now, there's one glitch here from the bat I have to tell you. You're not going to see the display happening in real time because of Oxygen. Oxygen disables these things. So whereas in other page builders and with other themes, you will see real feedback on HappyForms, you're not going to see it here, but I'll show you a workaround for that. Click a new form, add new, and we give it a name up there. We're going to call this, what's her name? I keep forgetting. Valerie Styles. And then I'm going to say save. I'm going to stop here and click on save. The reason I say I'm going to stop here is because usually you can see what's happening over here. If I click here on add a part to bring in an email like this, email, it's supposed to show up here, but it doesn't show up here. So if I say label and I say email, I'm supposed to see it here. If I click update, I still don't see it. If I click refresh, I still don't see it. That's Oxygen. So how can I get visual feedback of what's going on here? Close out of here, and we're not finished with this form, but I'm going to show you how you can set it up. You go here to Valerie Styles, and you will observe your short code over here. This is what is going to be important to you. Click copy to clipboard. Now this short code we're going to add to our page. What we do, let's close everything here so that we don't get confused. This is where we are, copy to clipboard. I'll control click on pages so it opens a new one for me. I want to keep this one open, and I'll go here. Then go to Home Photographer, Edit with Oxygen. Scroll down to where the contact area is. Click in the second column where you see div, and now we go look for the short code helper. Click on add, and up here in type to search components, I'm going to type in short code. There we go, short code or short code wrapper. I'll click on short code, and then it's going to add it there. And here, full short code. I'll paste Control Command V, that one that I've just brought in. And you see the form appears here. And the reason I do it like this is I'll save it now. Click here, click on front end. And now what I will do, as I work here, I will update it and see how it looks on the front. Let's go back. Valerie Styles, click on it to enter it, and we have our email. Are we happy with the email? Yes, we are happy with the email. That's how we want it to look. So we want the email there, and then under this, we want their names, short text. So short text, I'm going to call this your name. And I will put this on 50%. So go to more and width, I'll put it on half. And then I will duplicate this. And this one I'll call your last name. If I update here, go to the front, update, you will see that's how it looks now. And then under here, I will say which services do you require, which will be a selection. Add a part and single choice. Under label, which services do you require? The first one will be wedding. Add choice, next one will be, what did we say, portraits. And the third one will be newborns. Update. Go to the front, and you will see that's how it looks. And we can also put that next to each other. So within this selection, we go to more, and we say choices display horizontal. Update that, go to the front, refresh, you will see now they are next to each other. So somebody comes to your site, they can choose here which one they want. And then finally, maybe a message, which is what we call long text. So let's collapse this, add a part, long text, and then here your message. Update. We are done. Update. Great. So there it is. The one thing though is I want to make a little change here to the styling. So I'll just go back to our WordPress within this one. I'll go back to pages and then select edit with oxygen. Scroll down, and then select here. Go to div, select the div. Make sure the div is selected, purple. I'll change the background. So go to advanced background color, and I'll put it on this one. Now we run into a problem, right? Because we cannot see any of the text. We cannot see Valerie Styles, nothing there. For that, let's save it. Open on the front end. I'll go Control front end, Command front end, opens here. And I'll show you what we'll do. Go back to our HappyForms. And this is all connected to style. Of course, there are 1,000 other things that you can do here, like under setup, email, and style. Check the videos here on Websites for Beginners on how to do that. And one thing that I would add here is a date picker, because you would like to know when do people require this service. Unfortunately, date picker is not in the free version. So if I click here on add a part and I look for date and time down here, that is upgrade. But remember, if you still see this video during this time, which is in May, end of May, probably beginning June still, there is a lifetime deal happening on AppSumo at this moment. Don't miss out on that. So check the link in the description below. Click on Style. This is where we're going to make changes. And the first one is the title, which is currently this one, Valerie Styles. I don't need that. So I say hide it, click back, and then we go to General. Let's see, General. Primary, we can change primary and we select white. And then we go to Part, Labels, and Text. Scroll down, Title, we can put it on white, even though we just removed the title. Value, we can put it, everything that you see in black, just put it on white. And let's update. Go to the front, refresh, and see, there we go. And the send button in black. Let's change the send button and put it in that color, this one that we've got here. So let's copy this code. And then we go back. And then we click back and look for submit button. And then your background color. Be here, paste it, Control V. Yay. Background and focus, we do the same. Yay. And update. Refresh. Wow. We got our form. That's it. So that's how our form looks. And this is how I will work with Oxygen if it doesn't display in the back end and I don't have that real-time feedback. Other plugins may work a little bit better, but I'm not unhappy with this. I get the job done. And everything that we've done here is free with the HappyForms plugin. I'll close this. I'm back in the builder. I haven't made any changes or updates here. Let's refresh this page to lock in those changes from the HappyForms. Scroll to the bottom. And what I'll do is I'll select this div, this column, div. And then we go again, select this one. And then we select here middle, vertical item alignment, middle. To the top, so we go to section, advanced, size and spacing. At the top, we do the 100 pixels again. And we only have one more section left. Save this. Let's bring in our last section that's going to act like your social media platform. And then we go to add section. I'll bring in the same image that I use for the header. So with section selected, advanced, background image, browse, select this one. And I will apply an overlay, just one, not gradient this time. I'll select this one and I'll bring it down to around 80%. Let's bring in an icon. So with the section selected, go add and then icon. Select the icon, delete that text so we can get back and I'll look for camera. We got the camera, so we can select it. And if I couldn't find a camera, I would do the same procedure. I'll go to the noun project, I'll download it as a SVG, I'll add it to Icomoon and I'll bring it in as my own custom set. I'll change the color. Let's put it on white. And that's it. Nothing more I need to do here. In fact, it's at 55 pixels. I think that looks fine. Center alignment, so you have to select section and then go to center and now it's in the middle. Next, I'm going to create a box with some content inside it. So I'll need a container for that. And if you think of a container, the word for that is div. Make sure the icon is selected, add, go to basics, click on div. In this, I'm going to bring in two text elements. So click add heading and click add heading. If you know what you're going to do, you just bring them all in at the same time. Let's change these headings first. So I'll select this one and I'll type follow me. And I'll put it on white. Go to advanced typography, uppercase. Let's put this one at 500. And I want to center align it. And to do that, you have to select the div. Remember div, select the div and put it on center. Now, everything inside this div is also center aligned. We select the heading again. Let's make it bigger. 48. Yeah, 48 is all right. And then for this heading, I'll put it on a H4. Actually, I'm neglecting my H's. Not going to worry about H's. And then over here, join the online discussions. Let's put it in white so we can see it white. We'll change this to 24. And the font weight we're going to put on 300. 24 is too big. 20. 20 is too big. I want it smaller. So let's put it on 16. Okay. And let's add a little bit more space there. And where is that box that I want to do? So click on div. Make sure div is selected. You'll see the purple. Go to advanced, size and spacing, and I'll add padding. I'll add padding of 50 pixels all around. So I'll type in 50 at the top. And then I will click here, apply all. Once I do that, I've got 50 pixels all around. I think I need more on the left and the right. So I'll double that. On the left, I'll type in 100. And on the right, I'll type in 100. And now I'll go to, click back, borders. And under borders, the first thing you'll do is select solid. Because if you don't select solid and you deselect it, you're not going to see the border, even you make all the changes in the world over here. So start with clicking on solid, change the color, we'll put it on white, and then the width here, I'll put it on 1. Click out, and that's how it looks. Click on the icon and drag some space in there. And the last thing we want is we want to put some social icons here at the bottom for them to click on. There is actually an element for that. So make sure you select the div, not the contents, the div. And then you go to add, helpers, and up here under composite, you will see social icons. Select that. And even though I selected the div, it still brought it in. So what I'll do is I'll go to structure and I'll drag it here. It's going to take a little bit of wangling. Remember my advice, keep calm, right? I'll add space here while it is selected. And let's change the color of these guys. So where are we? Background color, icon color. We select, put it on white. Let's reduce the icon size, 24. I like it smaller, and space between, put it in 20. The rest, what you will do here is you'll go to them as it is selected, and you will see under primary, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, RSS, YouTube. That's all you've got. If you don't have anything with Twitter, you simply highlight and delete it, and Twitter will disappear. If you have something, for example, with LinkedIn, I'll just put in a hash there. You just bring that link in. So you have to change the links for your sites over here. And there we go. Let's add a little bit more space here. And now we have to do something, and we have to do a retro something, which we forgot to do. Save our work first, close out. We need to check for responsiveness, and we have to start with this one. We forgot to check for responsiveness. So let's start here. We can do both. Start with container. Both of them look good. Next one. It's stacked. Do you want it stacked already at this level for these two? And I'm going to go with yes. But I will decrease the size here at the top. Then we go for next one. Well, this is stacked. Yep, that looks good. Bottom looks good. And then the last one. Stacked, stacked. And over here, follow me. And you see our box is going, let me see, I didn't check that. A box is here, fine. But over here, let's change the follow me. Put that on 36. Still too big. Okay, what we need to do is maybe change the padding. So I'll select the div. Make sure you select the div. Go to advanced. Size and spacing, and then let's see if we put 50 pixels for this one now all around. Looks better. And there we go. It's a strange feeling when you reach this very end and everything is done and your page looks good and you have that warm feeling that job well done. But there's a last part, very important, and that is that you have the big desire to have a menu here at the top. And when people click on this menu, it will take them to services or portfolio or to about me or contact us. And that is done with section IDs. Now, how many sections do we have here? If you want to know, go to structure and you will see here we've got, let me clap, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sections. This is our first section. This is our second section. And this section has a name. It's given a name by default. And if you look up here in this little box, you will see there's the blue ID and this section -11-9. That is the name of this section. You can use this name or you can give it your own name. To give it your own name, click in it. And once it is open, select it here, and I'll call it Services. Then we go to this one, which is Portfolio. Select the section, do the same. Click in it, select it, and call it Portfolio. You have to remember how you type it, so if you make spelling mistakes, you're in trouble. Next is Valerie Styles. Select it. Click here in the ID, select it, and type about-me. You cannot use spaces. You can use dash, I think full stops, but you cannot use spaces. About me. And then the last one, you go here. Click on the section, click in the ID, select the ID, and contact. Now you have these 4 sections, and you've given them names. Now we bring in the menu. So we go up here to our first section, click on the top heading and click on Add and look for Menu. Now, since version 3, we've got a menu and a pro menu. And the pro menu is just a supercharged menu. We are going to just use the menu. The pro menu is really super boost, but we're going to just use the menu here. No need to make anything special. So we click on the menu and it will drop in here, and I hover over it and you will see the menu here. So the first thing I'll do is move it to the top, click and drag it above Valerie Styles Photography and drop it. I'll also put it here. So to do that, with this section selected, go to the padding at the top and remove the padding. And I will remove it all the way. Then I will click here on Valerie Styles Photography, go to the top, and I'll bring in my padding again. And now it looks like a hero section at the top of a page, right? We need to make changes here, select the menu. And these links that you see here are just random links. These are not the links that we've created. To do that, we first need to go and set up a menu within WordPress. So we'll just style it out first. With the menu selected, let's go over here to the options sidebar, click on text, change the color, and I'll put it on white. Now we can see that font weight, I'll put that on 400, and letter spacing, I'll add 1. And I'm going to leave it like that. I think it looks pretty okay there. Click on back, go to hover and active. As you see, currently as I hover over it, it does this. So I'll go to hover background color, select it, and take the opacity and reduce it almost here to 20%. Now it looks like this with the line at the top. I like that. You don't need an active link. Why don't you need an active link? Because once you click here, which is your portfolio, it's going to scroll down to portfolio. So you're not going to have that link anymore. It's not like a page that is active. You don't need an active link. The only thing that we need to do, and that is we have to go and create our menu. Before we do that, let's check responsiveness. Page container, and it makes a hamburger menu. I don't want the hamburger menu that soon. Click on the hamburger menu, and you will see it becomes white. Don't be scared by that. I'll explain very soon why that happens. What we need to do though, is we want to go to mobile responsiveness, and then here, mobile menu toggle below, we select it and we put it on 768. It will look like this. Notice I had clicked up here in the top because there's actually an X, a close button up there. That looks good. If I go to the next one, 992, it should still show it. But the moment I drop to 768, it's going to show me the hamburger. Fine, good, we're happy with this. But if I click on it, I have the white screen again. And the reason it looks white, because my background is white, plus the text, I put it on white too, so I'm seeing nothing. So what you need to do here is you go to, let's make sure you're at the right place, mobile responsiveness, menu styles, background color, and then we select this one. And now things look better. Let's reduce the opacity a little bit, and that's why it looked like this. So if you couldn't close that white thing, just remember it's the X actually up here. And that's how we set up that. We go to the last one, 480, it looks good. Close out, go to all devices, save, and then click back to WP admin. Let's close this one. WordPress, appearance, menus. And now we set up our menu. We give our menu a name. I'm going to call it main menu. And then say create. We have to create those links and we call them custom links. So the first one, click here and you type in a hash, which is an anchor, and we call this one services. Use the same word. But under link text, you can type anything like my services. Add to menu. Then we bring in, you see it's over here. We bring in a second one. Anchor it with hash, and this one was portfolio. Portfolio. And link text, let's call it my works. Add to menu, and then the next one was about me, about dash me. And this one we will call Valerie. Valerie Styles. Add to menu, and then the last one was contact. Remember the hash contact. And then we call this contact me. Add to menu, save menu. Now up here, you can go to the front end. Click on that. You see it says my services, my works, Valerie styles, and contact me. If I click on my services, it's going to go to this section. Observe what happens, because hold on, you may just get brain damage. It jumps. I wanted to say neck damage. My works, it jumps. It's not that smooth scrolling that I had shown you at the very beginning. But you can bring in the smooth scrolling. And to do that, you can go up here where it says Oxygen and edit with Oxygen. Click on that. Go over to Manage, Settings, and you go to Page Settings, and where it says JS Scripts, click on that. Smooth scroll to hash links. Select that. Save. Back to WP, click on Front End. We are back here. And now when I click on Contact Me, smooth scrolling. Valerie style, smooth scrolling. Wow, looking good. Let's test it quickly for mobile device. And to do that on a browser, you can simply press F12. F12, it takes you into the inspector. Toggle your responsive view up here. And then we select our iPad. You will see iPad, it still gives me the menu. Nice smooth scrolling. And if I go to iPhone X, it gives me the hamburger menu. When I select it, background, click on Valerie Styles. Everybody, smooth scrolling. F12 to exit that. The last one that we still need to do here is that we've got to link this button, Get in Touch, with this section, Contact Us. If you don't see the Oxygen feature up here to edit it, you'll have to go back into the WordPress dashboard. Not sure why that sometimes appears lately and other times it doesn't. Then go to Pages, All Pages, Home Photographer, Edit with Oxygen. And that will be the last thing we need to do. And then we can go have lots and lots and cups of coffee to recuperate. Click here on the button, Get in Touch. And we want it to scroll to this area. And you do the same. Go to URL, type in a hash to anchor it, and type in contact. Save. Back to WP, Control-click front end. And now when I go here and I click on Get in Touch, it takes me to my contact form. This has been a long session of 2 hours plus. This is our full-length tutorials here, and if you want to know more, please visit us at Websites for Beginners. We're giving you loads of tutorials on different builders, different add-ons, and different plugins with the focus on the beginner. So we really take you from a zero to a hero, no coding needed, and you don't even have to come with experience. The best way to learn is to copy. Do what I do, try it out, and you'll get better in no time. And like Oxygen, if you don't want to spend the money on it, remember, they've got a 60 days money-back guarantee. That means that you have 2 months to play with it. So when you are going to make use of that guarantee, don't get a product and then sit and do nothing with it. Use it every day. Come back to this tutorial, try, and try again, and make sure you get it under the belt. And in no time, you'll be making superb websites with Oxygen. More tutorials on Oxygen on the way, including WooCommerce, dynamic content, and even an LMS, how you can bring in a learning management system into Oxygen. Thank you for the support to this channel. We highly appreciate it. Stay safe, go well. See you in the next video. Have a nice day.